Guess Chiron is really kicking a lot of people's ass with Jupiter and all that stuff. I mean, I feel it. I think that a lot of people are going through like sacral passion. But you know, it's funny. I was reading an article today that was talking about, because I wanted to understand more or get a basic idea of what the seven deadly sins are related to the seven chakras, right? And I found this article, which is kind of interesting because the way that they were speaking on the way that the seven deadly sins are related to the seven chakras and also how they're correlated, right? And the way that they were looking at it was from the aspect of root crown, third eye, sacral, right? And then you have your throat and your shoulder, right? And then, of course, your heart is the in-between, right? And it was referring to matters of the heart and how envy is a matter of the heart, and how interesting that was in the article, because any imbalances lead to any of those seven deadly sins. If you think about it, or if you switch it the other way, you can see that these seven deadly sins are also related to chakra imbalances. So, just being able to kind of like mend, what, religion has taught us, and the profanity that is associated with it, you know what I'm saying? Let's not make shit up, is also an archaic description, or if not a brutal description of what we engage in, when we have these energetic imbalances. And me, fam, I'm all about the energy. I'm all about listening to the energy, focusing on the energy, because the energy is always going to tell me the truth, right? Regardless of the lie that my eyes may be showing me, that I may be hearing coming out of somebody's mouth. Now, mind you, I'm intuitive. That bullshit doesn't happen if it happens at all. You know what I'm saying? So, it's just funny how, how pride, which is associated with the crown, can be stubbornness, can be ignorance, can be forceful, but it's also associated with being not rooted in yourself and knowing yourself and balanced within yourself. By not being rooted, you are destined for anger and frustration. You know what I'm saying? And you go back and forth trying to find a way out, and believe it or not, you end up doing this little merry-go-round over and over again, because you can't get no clarity, you can't get no focus. You're too busy blaming something or trying to accuse something else, or trying to accuse something else of being wrong, instead of the fact that you're looking at it the wrong way. And I think that's kind of like a deep message for people not understanding how the mirror works, or not understanding, moments of reflection. Retrograde is what Spirit is saying here, which is, depending on what situation that you're in, you are literally taking a review on something that is either unresolved or has challenged you in an emotional way to keep you building and growing and to eventually overcome that space, or actually just reviewing it from the perspective that it's like you are not that person anymore, and possibly even thinking about showing gratitude would be an option for you. And then going into the doctrine, the doctrine of association, the doctrine of society that has you focused on some type of miserable shit somehow. You know what I'm saying? It's like, if it's one thing that I've seen, is that regardless of where you're at or what you're doing, somehow, some way, regardless, if your mind isn't trained, you will focus on misery somehow. You know what I'm saying? And I say this from my personal experiences, because it's been a long road and a long journey for me not to see the negative aspects first of what's being presented to me when I'm facing it. You know what I'm saying? Or focusing on it. And I think that's a really important message for a lot of people, because, we could tell everybody to be positive and oh yeah, you got to be positive. You got to look at the positive aspects of things. But we don't understand what the deep emotional sensations of truly trusting that is. You know what I'm saying? Until we dig deeper, until we open up our heart chakra, or we start working with our energy system and realizing there is this movement inside of us that speaks to us in a way that we understand things, or we have been led to understand things. And of course, yes, I'm talking about our feelings. I'm talking about our emotions, which is energy and motion, which is the shit that moves you into thought, that moves you into passion, that moves you into creativity, that moves you into whatever it is that you want to move into, and of course there are negative aspects to that, like moving into laziness, moving into that sloth, that sluggish, that lethargic, that I would rather coddle my feelings and nurture my emotions than actually do something about it and realize that I'm coddling myself unnecessarily, that I'm meant to push past whatever it is that I'm feeling to better understand why it is that I'm feeling the way that I'm feeling. Or even be able to discredit or discard the fact that you're feeling something that is outside of yourself. How are you going to know the difference, is what Spirit is saying. You know, how are you going to discern that space? How are you going to build up a strong foundation to help you understand yourself in a more conscious way, in a divine way, in a sovereign way, than continuing to do the survival mode dance that we're all doing right now in one way or another, not realizing that it's the survival mode that we no longer need and we need to let go of, right? You know, and you just learn this as you continue to evolve and you continue to grow, especially if you're a healer or you're practicing to be a shaman, which I am right now. You know what I'm saying? It's like you get picked for these things and you don't realize the responsibility and the commitment and the duty and the, you know, and everything that you carry with you when you're initiated into these type of things. Now, I didn't understand that when my wife was going through it, because I met her later on in life, you know, where she had already established herself in a great many ways and had many practices, right? And I just jumped into this very recently. And what shamanism has taught me in a very short amount of time is the sacred heart, the sacred beat, the sacred mother, the sacred land, and those things that we truly need to reconnect with, including ourselves. You know what I'm saying? Because one of the reasons why we walk around cold is because we don't march to the drum of what's actually beating underneath us that we walk on, right? And it takes time for that. I know that, I understand. That's a revelation for some, but it allows you to reconnect with the mother, right? Which could, you know, the mother helps us out with our feelings naturally. You know what I'm saying? A mother will, you know, nurture you, not enable you, and not coddle you in this space, even though a lot of people might be sensing the fact that they want to be coddled right now. It's not necessarily about coddling. It's about surrendering whatever it is, your emotions, to the great mother, to allow yourself to learn and grow. Allow yourselves to submit and surrender those things to the mother and the father, you know, the earth and the sky, or, you know, the universe and God and Gaia. You know, it's just any way you look at it, dude. It's more so about surrendering to for understanding than fighting against it and creating this unnecessary mental rhetoric and dialogue inside of your head that you're not going to win, you know, because basically with our thoughts, all we do is create instability. You know, we don't allow the instability to show us our stability, or allow us to ask for that stability, because we are sensing the instability. The rhetoric inside of your head is not going to let you do that. You're just fighting yourself and creating unnecessary persistence, resistance, stubbornness, and ignorance. It's just a perpetual cycle. It's a trap. It doesn't matter which way you look at it. It's just going to keep on going and going and going till you tell it to stop. It's in your permission and your control. Are you going to surrender it to it? Or are you going to continue to feed the cycle? Are you going to continue to feed the rhetoric? Are you going to continue to feed that disconnection within yourself that makes you experience disdain and despair? You know what I'm saying? How long is it going to take before you realize that the suffering is only temporary and it's not something that you're meant to hold on to? You know, because we have to see how we're controlling of that too. It's in your mind, it's in your crown. When you create that kind of density energetically with thought, you actually bypass your intuitive knowledge and your conscious information. You disconnect yourself from the ability to receive and create an environment of discernment and love, an environment of stability and peace, and allows you to create a more flowy understanding of the situation instead of being brutally punished by it somehow. You know what I'm saying? Or ignoring it to the point where you just gotta fucking either drink it away, you know what I'm saying, or do something stupid that is gonna cause you not to feel those things in the first place. You know what I'm saying? Addiction is heavy right now. And if there's people, places, and things, or people that you know that are having to deal with those things, you know, show compassion to yourself in those spaces, because either you are no longer or you were never a user. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, gratitude. You know, and opening up your heart in that space and being more compassionate to understand that there's things that people are going through that you probably never experienced and don't understand, and have shun upon them somehow. You know, it's a true compassion is what Spirit is saying, to have an overall understanding of a situation instead of deep diving and responding not only to yourself but other people, creating even more chaos and disdain. You know, and misunderstanding, because there's a lot of communication issues right now. Don't think that you haven't talked ass backwards or wondered why you were babbling your mouth in the first place, or why your throat chakra's been like, you know what I'm saying? It's because you're choking on your own bullshit. You know, you're choking on your pride. You're choking on yourself, and you're not allowing yourself to express what needs to be expressed. You know, there are things and secrets that have been buried deep inside of us that are literally coming up to the surface to be released, to be healed, so that way you suffer no longer. And yet we sit here and fight it, not understanding that we are the very resistance that gets in the way of the healing that is naturally happening within ourselves. You know, when are we going to stop? When you're going to realize that everything that you ask for is given in the manner that you ask for it, you know? So you have to change your rhythm, is what Spirit is saying. You got to change your vibration. And in order for you to do that, you have to release the dissonance and embrace the resonance from the release of that dissonance, from that misunderstanding, from that chaos, from that negative person, place, or thing, or toxic environment. It doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying? It's about going into the self, diving into the self, and understanding that the ego self is going to be waiting there to wallop you right in the freaking face, because it's trying to protect itself. And that is the battle that you are facing. You are actually fighting a battle with you. You know, control, surrender. What's it going to be? You know, it's a profound question that a lot of people need to understand, that basically if you're emotionally overwhelmed right now, or you're feeling a lot of sensations inside your heart area, or your sacral space, your lower dantian, upper dantian, middle dantian, these are calls for you to know yourself more and heal yourself in one way or another. You know, and those things are very important for us to understand about ourselves, because we are energy in form. We are energy beings, and it's conscious energy. And until we take heed and honor that and take ownership of that, not in a greedy way, not in a selfish way, but in a compassionate way for ourselves, we are automatically taught these things in one way or another through our life lessons and our life experiences. And that's the definition of learning how to go with the flow. And a lot of people are in the beginning of that space of surrender, and what that actually means. It means stop fighting the very thing that you continue to fight and never get anywhere with. You know, this is valuable information. You know, I mean, a lot of people who are in some type of emotional struggle, for the healers in here that are dealing with other clients, or dealing with other people, places, things, parents, loved ones, relatives, hey, understand that they're going through this shit too, regardless of whether they realize it or not. And you'll see them eventually like a bunch of fucking robots, literally following the narrative and the pattern in one way or another, which a lot of people walk away from. But then they embrace a higher calling, and then with that higher calling, they actually have to have a higher understanding of themselves, and not necessarily the primitive controlling chaos that we have walked away from in a lot of ways. You know? So I'm not talking to everybody, but I understand everybody and where they're at in one way or another, and that's important for us to also show to other people as well. To be that very definition of spirituality, to understand that it is a life lesson, and it's a lifelong learning as well. You know, to be this way, to have these gifts, to be this aware, to have these sensations is a very beautiful gift in one way or another, because it actually allows you to deep dive into yourself, instead of allowing the mental rhetoric of the normal survival state that a lot of people in, and doing things over and over again, expecting a different result because they think that they do better, when in reality it was like they need to know themselves better. You know what I'm saying? When you know better, you do better. And it was funny because I actually wrote this down like 3 or 4 times yesterday. Know better, do better. And I heard it. Know better, do better. Know better, do better. And here we are actually discussing the very definition of what that is, and receiving and understanding simultaneously, both you and I. This is how it works. You know, this is communication at its finest and its fullest, Spirit says, you know, because now you're embracing the compassionate rhythm of the universe. And that's very important for you to understand, that there's a deep love, a deep knowing, and a deep understanding and understanding of yourself that is associated with that, because now you're in the calling, you're in the coming, you're in the becoming of, you know what I'm saying, that beautiful Christ light that you can be, you know, the highest representation and the finest human being that you possibly could be in this world, you know. And it's almost begs the question of like, who doesn't want that, you know? But it's more so the question of, why don't you want it when you know that you can have it, because it's already meant for you, you know? And that's how we embrace the higher calling. So, you know, if you guys want to get mentorship in that space, or you're looking for somebody to give you soul counsel, or you're looking for an elder, well, you can contact me or my wife. You can find us at fourcornershealing37.com or womboftheancientsun.org for my wife. You know what I'm saying? Like, literally, there is so many avenues to be able to help anyone, regardless of what situation they're in or how much they think they actually know. Believe it or not, because it's an open line of communication with spirit, with your higher self, with God, the one, creator, source. You know, all those beautiful blessings that have been blessed upon us, we share with you. You know, so you're more than welcome to visit that space, you know, anytime you like, especially when it comes to time of discernment like this, which is usually when I come up on here. It's like, hey, when people need something, I love being of service, you know. But I get my ass kicked too, and I forget shit like everybody else, dude. And it's hard for me to come on here sometimes. But when I do, it's of the utmost compassion and understanding, you know, to help people better understand themselves in the situations that they might be in, to have a higher perspective of what they're looking at and not get sucked into the fucking matrix, you know. It's all love at the end of the day. The only reason, the only thing is that love challenges you. Love forces you to tell the truth. Love forces you to face yourself. You know what I'm saying? So the more you embrace that aspect of yourself, the more you will see of yourself, because you are in the higher learning of knowing yourself. And to know yourself is to love yourself. You know, so don't get it twisted, and don't settle and think you've made it or you've planed out. That's bullshit. That's a ploy, and that's a ploy on this plane to keep you stuck exactly where you're safe. You know what I'm saying? It's not about being comfortable, and it's not about feeling stable. It's about you creating that spiritual stability and that emotional understanding of yourself that allows you to create a better life for yourself naturally. Because when source participates in your life, creator, God, spirit, you are the enaction of that very understanding. You are the experience that does it. You do these things not only to better understand yourself, but to overcome the very things that ail you, because you ask for it. And we do this moon after moon, fam. You know? And some of us more sensitive than others, because depending on the energy or the constellation that the planet is, there's a different tune that is playing in each signs, or when the signs combine, is what spirit is saying. You know, so that aspect, the astrological aspect, is also a profound understanding of yourself, because believe it or not, when the spheres play, it switches the environment to show you what it's trying to say, you know. So another way of saying that is like when your astrological placements are really sensitive in the aspects that we're in right now, you might feel like you're going fucking crazy. Okay, you might feel like someone's out to get you. You might feel like you might have to get checked into a fucking loony bin, or it could be any of those things. Okay, but it's important for us to understand that the reason that these things are coming up in our life and creating anxiety and chaos is because you're being shaken up like a salt shaker to release the salt, so you are no longer salty. They said that, you know. And better understand yourself in the process of doing so, and having more faith, and allowing yourself to embrace the connection that is actually showing you something about yourself. It's that unseen thing that's happening to so many people right now, that they don't realize that this is all being pushed out, that this is all for review. Like if you had a book in front of your hand and said, look at the way that you feel. Why do you feel this way? What is the point of feeling this if you no longer want to deal with it? What do you need to do? Let go of it, right? And surrender looks so different for so many people, okay? It just does, because we're all unique in our experiences and our patterns and our habits. Even though that they may size up with the general population, a lot of those are just you. Judgments, foolishness, you know, the things that you've done in the past that you may or may not want to remember or beat yourself up for. Pick and choose. Pick and choose, baby. There's plenty of fucking aspects here that we can all succumb ourselves to in thought. But the reality of it is that presence is within you, and it's a higher calling that is coming out of you right now. And embracing that higher calling will allow you to paint the picture on the textbook so you can learn what is going on in your life right now. What blessings are you being given? What challenges are you meeting? Where's your passion? Where's your creativity? How do you embrace this message? You know what I'm saying? How does that feel? How does that resonate with you? We spend so much time distracted and in chaos that when we have these moments of peace, we don't realize that even though that we feel like it may or may not be temporary, this is a fulfillment within ourselves that we should come to more and more often. You know, and we practice that, we teach that, we also meditate that. You know, so be mindful. You know, we're going to have some guided meditations coming up that I would strongly encourage a lot of people to become a part of, you know, to help you balance and understand what it is to be in rhythm, to be in flow, to be aligned with the great mother and the father, you know, or the great mother, whichever way you perceive the world, to allow yourself to embrace a more harmonious aspect and perspective of what's being presented for you, because everybody here and everybody listening has some form of gift or ability that they may or may not be aware of. You know, you're not here for no reason, and nothing is ever done in vain. All right. And you can forget about coincidences. There is none. It's all about divine alignment and orchestration. And when you start seeing things from a frequency and a vibration or an energetic perspective, this is what it also teaches us. You know, so we can help you in that space if you're interested in reaching out to us. Elada, where you at, lady? I saw your donation. Yeah, I'm doing readings today, fam. They are energy readings and healings. We will be doing it simultaneously through conversation and understanding of ourselves. It's just $23 donation today, fam. You know, so I'm more than happy to be of service and help the people, you know, especially when I understand that a lot of people are going through exactly what the hell we were just talking about right now. You know, so. All right, Aleda, give me a minute. I believe the topic of family seems to be kind of like family structure, family association, the meaning of family and what's that like. Okay. All right. I actually, you know what's really cool about family is we realize that family, or the people that you associate with, your family, of course, is what they're saying, is not necessarily your community. Your community is so much more and so much more different than what we've been led to believe it is. And I believe that this is a conflict here. So let's put it into perspective for you. Today, you know, I've been doing my healing. The Chiron and the sensitivity of being a water sign right now is off the fucking chain. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to argue that. All right, dude, if you guys are feeling it, you're feeling it. If you're not, fuck it. Right. But I was in the shower, you know, and I was taking a shower, and I was actually having a realization that is similar to the situation that a lot of people are realizing right now. That family, our concept of family is distorted. What we consider to be family is distorted. It's more so a community, and a community of songs is what Spirit is saying that allow you to think, feel, and act a certain way. And when you pull the song away, then all you get to hear is the harmonious self or the disharmonious self, right? So it's almost like what they're telling me right now is you got to learn how to tune out all the words that are coming out of other people's mouths right now, because they're all facing you in one way or another to alleviate their problems, right? I almost feel like it's almost to make them feel better, you know, and you're not here to nurture everybody's gifts, you know, and you're not here to take care of everybody's problems, especially when the focus should be on your own, right? When we feel the flaws, or we feel the sensitivities or the signs that are literally telling us to get out, to find something else to do, we have to go within to passionately pull ourselves outward, almost like we're fucking literally pulling ourselves inside out and actually facing the right way. Spirit is using the term authenticity in this space. It's like your authentic self is being pulled from within to show you what your true masks look like, you know, and there isn't one, right? But also at the same time, when you have all these energies outside of yourself, it could be very chaotic and distracting, because now we're focusing on the emotions of others, right? But if we tune in, which you have already, and realize that these energies are happening outside of yourself, now you're in a completely new, another dimension, basically. All right, where there is spaciousness, where there is it almost feels like etheric, like there's a wave flowing through you naturally that is allowing you to embrace the inner mind and the inner peace, the inner hive and the inner knowingness, that allows that naturally to stabilize yourself without having to think about it or having to practice a practice that consistently is flawed by the distractions that are surrounded by you. You know what I'm saying? They show me a lot of noise. They show me a lot of distractions. I need this, or somebody saying something, or da 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 da. And it's almost like you have to tune out the world. You want to tune out the world, but you don't know how to necessarily tune out because of the energetic deprivation that keeps on happening consistently, cycle after cycle. You know, it's only a matter of time, is what I hear Spirit saying. So when you realize that this is all part of your compassion space, part of your giving space, part of your heart space, which is happening right now, because now we've localized the center. We've localized the fact that the problem is also you. And I have to say that, and it might be triggering in one way or another, but it's actually not. This is for information. This is you realizing that you're taking on the energy of others by allowing your mind to have an emotional feeling about what it is that you're perceiving. You know what I'm saying? And when you see it every day, you could say that it's hard, but until you practice it and you realize that you're actually fighting for yourself and getting yourself out of the stuckness that you've been asking for a long time.
There's a lot of healing in her.
What was that, baby?
There's a lot of healing in her heart. The number 23 keeps showing us up.
So just allow yourself to sit with this presence right now and allow that to move through you. Allow it to show you what it needs to show you, whether it speaks a message or not, whether it shows you a picture or not, whether you have a vision or not. That they might even say it in a dream is what I'm hearing here. I have to excuse the noise. I apologize, fam. They're doing the roof outside. Don't ask. I don't know. I don't know what people do and why they do the things they do anymore, because I don't resonate at that frequency anymore. And that's the most humble way I could say it. So the last message here is allow yourself to heal, learn, and grow, and embrace the positive you over the not so. Over the latter is what I'm hearing. So definitely this has to do with an environment that is not serving you the way that it needs to serve you, right? If anything, it's the only thing that it's doing right now is just pushing into your higher calling and allowing you to understand that if you're going to make a move, you're the one who has to move it. If you're going to ask for something, you're going to partake on it. You're going to engage in the play of the manifestation that you're asking for. And if the soul is in despair, you better understand that the soul will eventually find its way out. Whether it frustrates you to the point that you drive yourself crazy, or you allow these things to happen naturally and allow the confirmations, feel the flow, feel the rhythm, feel the vibe. We've said that, come on, y'all, it's bobsled time. You know, we have to understand these things are happening to us for a reason, you know. The reason is not to punish us. It is to show us what brings chaos, what brings distortion and distraction versus what doesn't. You know what I'm saying? We all have the ability to choose in every moment. And until you start looking at the aspects from openness, we continue to do these things over and over again. You know, sometimes you just got to tell yourself it's okay. You really do. Because you know where you're headed. You know where you want to be. But you have to be in the now to get to there, to get to where you want to be. You know what I'm saying? So that means you gotta try harder. You gotta deep dive, or you gotta dive deeper. You gotta engage in that inner strength, because this is what they're trying to show you. This is what you are more powerful than you know. And you can move mountains if you choose. You know what I'm saying? And the mountains are your life. The obstacles in your life that you are meant to overcome, because you already have all the spiritual tools and the spiritual knowledge. But it's about putting it together in a way where it's not all over the place and it's hard to understand. You know what I'm saying? So, you have to learn how to nurture yourself in a way where you're not coddling and codependent. Okay? Because it's one of those let's be real here situations. I'm a grown-ass man, all right? Or I'm a grown-ass woman, and I have to take care of myself. And the easiest way for me to take care of myself is to learn how to know myself and love myself simultaneously, because loving yourself is knowing yourself. That's what we go down, It can lead to rabbit holes and experiences that are nothing less than profound, is what Spirit is saying. But if you don't allow yourself to grow and move and understand, then you stay stagnant and stuck like the rest, is what they're saying. Salah. Thank you. That's a deep message, man, because it's matters of the heart, dude. And I totally resonate with that shit because, when the elders, you know what I'm saying? When I went into a meditation, not thinking anything, thought I was going to be able to balance and realign myself. And then I start seeing images of chiefs, you know what I'm saying? But not just one, different ones. And then they're like, you've been chosen, you've been called. And I was like, what, dude? I thought I was in fucking delusion, And they told me that they were going to help me with my matters of the heart, that they were here for that. But they're also going to teach me how to be a shaman, because I am one. And I married into it. Laugh, please. It's funny. All right? I got picked. So they literally opened up my heart in that moment and let me see what the elders have seen, right? The land, the misuse, the mistreatment, the genocide. All those things are very overpowering. You know what I'm saying? And I felt it all at once. But it also allowed me to know that even experiencing the greatest pain, it really shows you how big your heart really is and how much it's been hurt, right? But not only just by people, but by the land, which is more important. Because where shit dies, nothing really wants to grow. You know what I'm saying? And then they build over it. And here we are. Not understanding that your pain or your emotional suffering or your emotional sensitivity is tied to an entire planet and its collective of people, and this is what the sensations that you are having are about. It really puts things into perspective when you realize how sensitive you can be, or people really are in one way or another. How in tune they are with the land, not knowing that they are, and there's where the disharmony and the disease comes from. It's because you've been disconnected from the mother, from your feminine energy, from the balance, from the ability to create. You know what I'm saying? And, when you understand these things, as a shaman, you're meant to see both sides, both feminine and masculine aspects, but here we are addressing the feminine because they pertain to a lot of the collective in the room. It's like, honor your feminine, fam, honor your mother, honor the mother in you, honor the God in you, because the God is the great mother as well. You know what I'm saying? You're not worshiping a deity, you're worshiping your higher self, or a piece of it. You're actually showing your self-love when you do that as well, when you know that this isn't lying to you. The thoughts in your mind are lying to you. Whatever lies in here is the truth. Allow it to be shown to you. You know what I'm saying? So for everybody in the room, I am doing energy readings and healings today. It's just $23 donation. All the links are in the bio. You're more than welcome to step up in the plate. I'm happy to be of service to anybody who would need it. You know what I'm saying? Because right now is a really good time to understand the emotional value that we allow to control us and to manifest for us uncontrollably. You're learning this, and here you are affirming it. Gratitude, grow. Gratitude for you too, sister. You know what I'm saying? Healing and growing shouldn't be a fucking punishment. But there's a lot of sacrifices out there that think that they're, martyrs. We have to see the martyrdom within ourselves as well. You know, because we've seen it before, because it's been around us, because generationally it's happened to us in one way. What's up, Mama Briggs? I have a addiction to Pepsi, unfortunately, and this has been bestowed to me by my wife.
Hey now. You cannot, no. You can't blame me for your flaws, bro.
Way to get her in the room, right, fam?
Fuck off.
Oh, the donation links are in the bio. It's just right there. You can click on that thing, right? And hopefully it's not reversed on the other side, but you click on that thing, and it'll take you to the links. It'll take you to the profile page and the links. It could always be worse, man, but that's the understanding of the underworld, the middle world, and the higher world. You know what I'm saying? When you start looking at things from different angles, you know what I'm saying? You understand that in some cases or some experiences, you might be still going through your underworld trauma, right? But in the middle world, the present, you realize that you're standing here, but you're staring at the trauma or whatever facing your fears, right? And that's where the truth and the lie comes in. Which one are you going to believe? Are you going to go back there to see it? Or are you going to stand up here where the truth is already at? I don't know. You tell me. You know? Because in the higher world, they can see everything. And so can you. I am getting notifications for donation. Oh, no, that's fine. This stuff just comes out of me, Mama Briggs. Don't get it twisted, lady. People got to know when they're talking to Jay and they're not, dude. So I'm trying to do it better, but it just comes in. I haven't got no support. I got no. There's no control over it. When it comes, it comes. When it goes, it goes. And I appreciate the support. Trust me. You know, I've only tried to restart this shit and get it going. I don't know how many times, dude. And it's like back to the drawing board. Not necessarily because I'm trying to figure out how I'm gonna deliver this shit. It's more so about perfecting the delivery. You know, I do not, but I know someone who does. My wife does. You can find her. I believe it's called Voice Between Worlds. She was in the room earlier, and she can help you with past life regression or a better understanding of yourself and your soul.
That's all I do.
Mm-hmm. What's going on, Mr. Burke? How you doing, bro?
You feeling better, bro?
You all right? You going through it, buddy? We were just talking about that earlier, dude.
He was.
Yeah, I think everybody's having to deal with some type of fucking wounded shit, dude, whether it's them or somebody else.
Thank you, Jupiter and Chiron.
You know what I'm saying? Like, dude, it's reevaluation time, buddy. If you're feeling a whole ass mess, you know, it's time to sit down with yourself and be like, yo, what's this? What is this?
Jack.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm in training, man. I said it earlier. I said I just got picked, but I know somebody who does. I can take you.
Stormy Ray.
I can tell you.
Stormy Ray, you know exactly.
I can take you to my elder.
Stormy Ray.
I can take you to my elder, which is my wife.
Miss Stormy Ray. She just followed me on TikTok not too long ago.
Really?
Stormborn Ray.
Stormborn Ray 888.
She just followed me. I think.
Yeah, you're supposed to be able to hear her. That's the point.
Yeah. I'm back here. I'm tattooing.
Yeah, she's tattooing away, doing her designs and stuff.
But yeah, nope. That's me. That's what I do. You can come see me at wombofatheancientsun.org, or you can do a past life regression with me at Four Corners Healing37. So that's all I do is remove old soul contracts, imprints, but not only here in the physical plane, etherically.
Yeah.
Because people forget about the etherical plane. Just because it's here in the physical does not mean that it does not exist etherically. And it does not mean that you do not carry those wounds in your womb continuously.
Yeah, and there's a lot of sacral stuff coming up, so it doesn't surprise me that you've been called for that.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's your sacred womb. That's your sacred energy center.
It's not just one session, it's two. The first session is an hour and a half, and then 3 days later we book another session. But that is already paid for at the cost of you paying the first cost of seeing me.
You can go ahead and check out the links in the bio. You can click on our services and you'll find it there. So there's a soul womb clearing.
Yep, and that is actually $166, but that actually implies 2 sessions, ma'am.
Yeah, it's 2 sessions.
You can't leave somebody like that after you do that deep work with them. Yeah, you gotta see them again.
That's deep wound healing when it comes to sacral. You know what I'm saying? That's your passion. That's your creativity. That could even be your lack of expression and your ability to express yourself and engage in conversation and communication and connection and community. You know what I'm saying? When you look at it from that aspect, you see the opportunity, right? But our imbalances will have us looking at ourselves or looking at and blaming another or blaming ourselves, not realizing that that is a very imbalance that we suffer from, right? It's the circle, man. You're just and you think you're getting better.
The circle jerk.
Yeah, the circle jerk. You think you're getting better, but you're not. You know, you are evolving and you're coming to determining things, but you're doing it in a very survivalistic way, not necessarily a conscious way where you allow yourself to be instructed. You allow these things to come up and see them when they're meant to be seen, is what Spirit is saying. So definitely recommended. Go for it. You know what I'm saying?
I've had a lot of success with people and women in that space.
Yeah, I mean, I've had a sacral clearing from her as well. You know, because as a man, we're not taught how to be men in a divine and sovereign way. You know, it wasn't until I met my wife and I actually started working and practicing and becoming connected to higher consciousness and asking higher consciousness to show me what it is to be a divine representation of a masculine here. And here we are. And, you know, I go through lesson after lesson and I learn and I learn and I grow and I grow and I grow, you know? And that's all I've been doing. It's because sometimes, if not all the time, it's important to ask that question. And who better to ask it from than the source, you know? And as a man, I can tell you that there is a lot of sacral issues going on collectively, you know, whether it's, you know, lust, obsession, porn, it doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying? Adultery in any way. We are adultering ourselves by the conditioning that we've been led to lead, that we believe is that we were led to believe is socially acceptable. Okay, I can tell you from experience that after asking that question, not only did I get the instructions from my elders, you know what I'm saying, including my wife, and teachings that were associated with it, but I got the relief and the understanding of what these things do to us over time if neglected. You know what I'm saying? And it can lead to, you know, it can lead to cancer. It can lead to any type of lymphoma, depending on where your energy imbalances are. You know what I'm saying? If we don't work the energy, we don't work the disease, and then it becomes a physical disease. And like she was saying before, there's a physical aspect to healing, and then there's the spiritual and energetic aspect of healing as well that we have to address simultaneously. We cannot do one without the other, and that's what we practice and teach and do here, is we address the sky and the earth. You know what I'm saying? We address the earth and the ether. We address your upper chakras and your lower chakras, and then work and finalize everything through your middle dantian, which is the heart. You know what I'm saying? Everything's a process in one way or another. And we have to be willing to engage in that process in order to learn and grow with a lot more confidence and understanding of you already know where you're headed. You know, now it's about swimming through the muck or going through the suck, or realizing that these things are emotions that you've held on to with a great love and compassion. You know what I'm saying? A representation of those things that is buried deep beneath something that is very sad and full of despair. It's our love, but taken and manipulated and molded into something dark and shitty. You know, not realizing that that's what we've created through our ability to think and understand and believe. And then we start the reversal process and turning it back into the very light that it is. which is also you. You know, so if or the orchestration of it is nothing less than profound. So I encourage anyone to engage in any of the services that we have here. You know, we have many services available depending on what it is that resonates with you, to be honest, or what kind of like your intuitive gut tells you to do. And there's many options. So, you know, just check out the link in the bio, and when you're ready to do it, I would say now is always a good time for everything, right? Because the more you wait, the more the idea manifests itself away from you. You know what I'm saying? When God gives you a gift, you take it right away. Otherwise, little by little, you lose it. You know? And those are my experiences too, especially when we get conscious ideas and we have clarity. You know what I'm saying? When we have those things, it's important to realize that they're meant to be acted upon immediately, in the moment, in the now, written down. You know what I'm saying? Whatever it takes for you to engage in a good teaching, it'll be there when you ask for it, if you haven't asked for it. And a lot of you have asked for it already, so it's there. You know, they're showing me the pad and the pen and allowing yourself to write, heal, learn, and grow. So, you know, if you're journaling, highly recommend it as well. Thank you. I was just looking to see if anybody else donated. I didn't see anything come up because I was too busy talking. But I was looking in the general direction.
That's fucking gorgeous.
Well, there's two things there. You know, that's a general description because I'm looking at you and the piece that you just did.
Well, I'm talking about the piece.
Yeah, well, you're both gorgeous.
Well, this is dope. I can't wait to color it now.
Oh, we're going to do color? Oh, I'm excited, dude.
This
I'm excited. We're learning new shit here, fam.
No, this one we're gonna color.
I got a sewing machine in the back I'm going to start doing videos with from 1905, homie. I got a freaking 1905 sewing machine that you power with your feet.
Yeah.
Oh my God, you guys,
You know,
I gotta say that we've been nothing but blessed, you know, especially, you know, being the astrological studiers that we're, you know, practitioners that we're doing, and understand how these things influence in our life and how big changes come, you know, from one moment to the next when you embrace your higher self and your higher calling, and how the things that you used to do showed you practice and gave you discipline and respect somehow, right? And now using it in a completely different aspect of your life, in a completely different way, and something that you can't necessarily explain, but it just drives you and it moves you and it motivates you every time you think about it, you know? And Spirit says we will support you in that magical fun. Like so. And then stuff like this happens. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, isn't that cool?
It's like, you know, that you can only dangle the winning lottery ticket in front of somebody's face so long before you just put it on the shelf somewhere and wait till they're ready to grab it themselves. You know, life is a gift, and that's what the Creator shows us. You know, all
the
the
seamstress.
time.
Yeah, Miss Empress. Yeah, man, the seamstress. It was great because I called my mom back in Ohio, and then his mom came out with tears all streaming down her face. The nostalgia that we got to bring those women that day by finding that 1905
They lit
piece.
up like Christmas trees,
so cute,
bro.
Man. It was like the movie Santa Claus all over again.
You don't believe, and this is actually a manifestation, no bullshit. Okay? I asked God for a sewing machine, right? 3 days before, because I started getting curious about sewing and all that shit and diving deeper into that ambition, right? And that pull, and where my ancestors and the elders wanted me to go, right? And I'm coming back from getting the groceries or going to the store or some shit. And I pull into the complex, and I'm about to make a right, and I see an antique sewing machine in front of the garage, right? And I look a little harder, and it has a fucking piece of paper on it that says free, right? So I look at it, I'm like, oh my, I'm just throwing it in the fucking truck, bro. I pull the tailgate, that thing's heavy as fuck. I'm like, I don't care, I'm just gonna muscle this shit. I don't give a fuck how much it weighs. It weighs like 100 pounds. And I fucking, maybe 75. And I picked this thing up and I put it in the back of the truck and I'm like, thank you, God, thank you, Creator, thank you for the sewing machine. This is a sign, this is a confirmation of something that I asked for, right? Follow your passion is what I hear, and the gifts are given automatically. And it's important for you to remember that you're also the gift that is giving, right? You know, there's lessons in everything, and there's beautiful messages there, dude. And when you pick up a hobby or a craft, you realize that that's the Creator's craft too. You know what I'm saying? You're doing it simultaneously with the essence of I know you, you know, God, or the Creator, source, the universe, whichever way you want to look at it, you know. And as you embrace more of this creativity, and you know, as you embrace more of the creativity, you also heal, learn, and grow. Especially a lot of us that have been diminished in the sacral space, which is a lot of the issue right now in some people collectively. You know, some of us are going batshit crazy, but you know, that's to receive a higher calling, you know, and a higher understanding of ourselves. That's why we're being shaken the shit out of, you know. So that is also there. That is also true in the time that we are in. A lot of it, you know, some of you, it could be both. Like myself, in one way or another, because I am learning, healing, and growing as well. What's up, lady? You want to see it? Okay. All right. It's a little mess here right now, but check this thing out. And you want to laugh? Here's the biggest fucking pun of this sewing machine. Look what the name is. It's the Free. It's the Free. That's what the name of this machine is. That's hilarious, isn't it? It was made in Chicago. There's a serial number on here, but there's a stamp on here that says 1905, dude. You know, and it's a number. It's the Free number 5. It comes with an oak or chestnut, you know, antique desk. You know, and believe it or not, dude, some of the original stuff is still here. I just needed to buy sewing needles for leather for it. You know what I'm saying? And it came with original freaking, look, the old school wood with the proof of little price that you have to do in the adding machine. Yeah, dude. And I have 2 spools. I have 2 of these little antique spindles and shit. Yeah, good day. You know, and I'm sitting here, you know, just literally learning how to craft and sew and learn the divine lessons that are also being shown as I fucking do it every time. You know what I'm saying? I've became a fanatic for hand sewing, beading, and moccasin making all of a sudden out of this whole deal. So here we are. So stay tuned for that.